um, um, quick, but the agenda for today's presentation is that we see a lot and we hear a lot in anywhere we go, that how to build the right it. In a sense, um, uh, we almost talk about, what we have to be very good in coding. We need to practice code guidelines, and we need to follow these automation principles and these design principles. But in many times, we really don't think much. Are we what we are building? Is it the right thing for our customers, for our users? So today I'm going to, as the presentation says, it's build it right or build the right it. When I say build the right it, it's building the right product, building the right or you something of business value to our customers. So as part of this, first of all, thanks for all of you to join today, and I will go over the presentations. And if you have got any questions, you could either drop on a chat window, or you could ask me these questions right after the presentation. So just to set your expectations, looks like it may just exceed an hour. So you let me know if you guys have some hard time, or yeah, if you still want to, you could connect with me even post session separately, or email, or either way that we could continue our conversation. So just a brief about me. So I am Avinash Relege. So I'm in industry for around 16 to 17 years now, working with a lot of product and service companies, and I've been consulting companies on Agile, Scrum, and transforming them, the entire organization. I express my opinions and a lot of my ideas and thoughts on my blog, which is called Agile Buddha, and that's under umbrella of Agile Buddha is what I'm consulting with my clients. Other than this, I conduct a lot of on-site and public trainings and Agile coaching workshops for product owners to Scrum teams to on distributed Scrum. Some of these topics is typically I focus on. Okay, so moving on. What do you think? What is the biggest risk that you see on projects when you are building on a software product? Anyone want to share their thought? What is the biggest risk on projects? So with respect to when we are working towards a project, one of the key things that any company that goes through when you're working on a product or a project is about building a wrong product, a product which is not really is not appreciated by your users or your customers, or it could be that it may not be solving any of your users' problem. It may not be assisting them in any way. It's not so it's a product which is not really liked by your customers. Okay, I think this is the biggest risk that any company runs across. Even if you're working on an outsourced product development or in a service, if your client, you work with the client and you launch a product, the client launches a product, and if it's not successful, then even you as a service company, you can't expect any more business, right? In a sense, if the product doesn't do very well in the market scenario, I think that's where we need to now really see as an industry how we could really, either as a service partner or we ourselves building a product, how can we make work with our clients or directly with our users to build a very good product. I think that's one of the key things that that we should be aware of, and that's what is the expectation when I go and consult the teams. Now the expectation from a developer or from a programmer, or you could say from the testers, from the Scrum team, is much more. The bar has raised that we want those people to really collaborate with the customers to build a product. So few will really argue on the following 3 points. Value attracts customers. If you have got a very good business value, definitely it will attract customer. Okay. Quality earns respect. If you are able to deliver a product which is very good on both on the functional and non-functional side of the things, and this definitely is going to earn respect from your users and customers. Innovation, it differentiates you from the competition. I think this is one of the key things, right? Every product that you are going to build, there are a lot of different competitors in a different in the market in different geographies. So what you really need to see is how do you differentiate yourself from rest of your competition. But hey, you guys, can you check here? Value, quality, and innovation. But all the three I'm not talking about agile, but actually all the three are addressed when we are talking about agile, right? Value, that we focus, agile talks about focus on high business value and delivering high business value in frequent intervals. Quality, that's one of the key things in agile. We focus on multiple level of testing, not only just unit testing, functional automation, test driven development, pair programming. All of them are contributes to the quality of what we are building. And innovation, in the sense, we self-organized teams actually work as independent self-organized teams, work with the customers or work with the products to bring in their mind also. Not only the product owner is thinking about the product, but even the entire team is thinking about the product, how we could make it different from our competitors. So that's that's one of the if you see here, then value, quality, and innovation. Truly successful products and services will deliver on all the three. Okay, and the key to success is unlocking the customer code. When I use the word like customer code, is to try to understand what customer really wants. Okay, try to hear him and understand him, and try to see that, because the customers usually make decisions at two levels. One is conscious level, second is at subconscious level. So conscious level decision making are what you get through requirements, right? When you are working on any project, customer says, okay, that these are my requirements. That's a conscious level decisions that he has taken. But there are a lot what I call as subconscious level, where he doesn't express them as part of your conversation. When you first initially ask, are part of your requirement specifications or in any way, he doesn't express any of these. Those are called subconscious level decision make requirements or needs of a customer. So how to really understand what are conscious and subconscious things, because what happens is many times when you really particularly in so when we are following Scrum, we deliver every 2 weeks or 3 weeks. That's one way that you could address his subconscious. When he looks at the product, then he is actually visualizing what he has written and what he's seeing, and then he's trying to improvise on his thinking. Okay, that's the one way of addressing the subconscious level. But that's when, for example, when you have already started on a project. But what happens if you are starting something new and you want to understand, or if it's a new product, you want to understand even before building what you really have to build. Okay, what are the important features, and what are a kind of, you could say, nice to have or delighters. So to address this kind of a concern in the market, one of the professors called Cano, he introduced a very interesting model called Cano model. So this was a research which was done in Tokyo University, and then he brought this to the market, and he started analyzing the things in the perspective of distinct needs of the customer. So I will go over one by one from like each one of them, and I'll provide different kinds of service and product examples so that you guys get an understanding of how you could use Cano model in your projects, on your products that you are building. So let me first look at the must-haves. Okay, you see a bar at the bottom. That's the I assume the picture is clear, and the bar at the bottom, the chart that's going, it's called a threshold or a must-have features. What's one interesting thing about that is, um, must-have features are the ones which are must be present in the product. Okay, and these are called, also call it as unspoken. In the sense, the customer may not express them. He assumes, he implicitly assumes that it is expected out of when he is doing this. For example, he is building an e-commerce product. He expects a shopping cart would be there. He says that, you know what, I want a shopping cart. In this case, he assumes that it's part of the product. Okay, so improving the, if you see this interesting graph, improving the amount of features have little impact on the customer satisfaction. Okay, you see the it's getting a kind of getting into parallel plateau, hitting a plateau after some time. But if it, if you don't provide must-haves, then it will create dissatisfaction among the customers very soon. Okay, some examples. For example, you enter into a hotel. Assume, think about this. You see bed, you have a bathroom, you have a desk, you have a TV. That's a must-haves in a hotel room. What happens if none, they are not there? Then you are going to get dissatisfied completely. You will say, well, this is not a good hotel. But then, does it make any difference that instead of one TV, you have got two TVs? It will not increase your customer satisfaction. So that's one example of what do you mean by saying must-haves. Second is like, take your phone. For example, making and receiving calls, sending and receiving messages, text messages. These are the must-haves. If you don't have these functionalities, then probably may not purchase that product at all, right? So these are what we call as mandatory features. Now, second, which I want to talk is on the what I call as linear features. Linear or performance. So these are also referred as spoken ones. The customer does ask about these things. When you actually talk to him, he mentions about these things. Okay. So so linear features are the more the such features within your product, the higher the satisfaction. So it's customer sats is quite linearly correlated with the amount of such performance features. Now, one of the key things we have seen is the product price is also related to these number of linear features present in the product. Okay, some of the examples could be, for example, you enter the hotel room and you see a treadmill. Okay, definitely you are more satisfied. Wow, that I can really do my exercises within my hotel room. Okay, that's increases your satisfaction. Or you have a phone which is very light, which you could start really fast, really quick. So that's really increases your satisfaction. Or you are looking at purchasing a car. If the car gives like 10 kilometers per liter kind of mileage, then it may be something at the lower bottom of the performance curve. While if it gets into 20 liters per 20 kilometers per liter, then you are at the top part of the performance linear curve. So the customer satisfaction increases as more and more such features are embedded into the product. Okay. So, and one of the key things whenever you go and even if you look at any kind of product, you will always look at, I think it's very common, even I was doing today in assessing different kinds of agile tools which I wanted to really implement between, for example, I was assessing Planbox, Rally, and a few other tools. Then one of the key things which I was looking was the pricing and the features that it's providing. Right, so this is very it's a linear correlation. Then more number of features, then definitely the product price increases. You compare Rally, then definitely it commands a very premium pricing because it gives a lot of such features. So this is the second set of features which you see, and customers do ask when you're planning to build for a product. The next most interesting ones are called delighters. Okay, you see on the graph, um, uh, not having delighters will not dissatisfy the customer, but having delighters will increase the customer satisfaction to a very high level. This is called the wow factor of your product that you are building. Okay, so this is like an unspoken. The customer, because he is not aware of this one, so he will never express the delighters. Okay, the customer would say, you know what, I love this element of the product. This is something pretty unique. I don't find this set of this piece of features or these set of features anywhere. Okay, this is an exciter. Okay, as I said, it will not decrease the satisfaction, but having them will increase the satisfaction exponentially. And these are unknown needs. Definitely, customer is not aware of it. And I'm also going to talk about how to identify these in the coming session, in the coming slides. So whenever you have these wow factor into the product, it starts commanding premium pricing for your product. And usually what happens is because now we are in a space of social media, and we know that or in Twitter or in Facebook, anything that you like, you immediately express yourself. Okay, so typically a product which has got a lot of delighters can find that space very well in a social media and in through people word of mouth. So that's the way that to really assess that yes, this product is really doing well and has got sufficient. And some of the ways that a lot of service companies and product companies they really do is they actually position themselves having these delighters as their unique selling point or unique value proposition when they're talking to the client or when they're showcasing their product to the users. So some examples I can talk is things like having a built-in TV onto your treadmill or free Wi-Fi. You know what? My job requires a little bit of travel. So when I enter into a hotel room, I end up giving good amount of money just to access internet. Okay, and every time I'm unhappy providing so much money just to access an internet. So every time I end up talking to the hotel folks like, why can't you make the Wi-Fi free for so. And last week when I was in 2 weeks back when I was in Chennai, when I entered the hotel, the first thing I noticed was I got a free Wi-Fi. That was an amazing. Immediately, like, it's something that delighted me. Wow, that you have got a free Wi-Fi. Okay, so at any kind of that's like a service example. So a product example could be is an attractive product design, or it could be that you are able to personalize your phone, or your phone is a touch phone. Okay, so these are some of the delighters. Now, interesting is, for example, even what do you call these exciters can, you could say a touch phone was an exciter a year back or 2 years back probably, but is it an exciter anymore? That's something I feel now with time. Yeah, what really happens is the exciter starts becoming performance or linear features, and linear starts becoming threshold or must-haves. Okay, so for example, even my daughter, she likes my I carry an Android phone, touch phone, but she was quite excited when I bought it probably a year and a half back, but now she is no more excited. She, even if I want to purchase a new phone, she's more, she says the touch phone is like has become kind of a must have now, right? So this is how you see the trend in the market. Like for you to be innovative, you really need to explore delighters or those exciters always in your service or in your product. Okay, one examples I was writing kind of an recently kind of market differentiators for some play and for one of the companies. And now when I go and look at the websites of any company, you see it's quite often two things. One is fast time to market. Any service company website you talk, it talks about fast time to market and reduced cost of development. But guys, is it anymore a differentiator? Now everybody, the neighbor sitting next to you is talking about faster time to market or reduced cost of development. So that those were the delighters probably 5 years back, but they are no more those delighters. Okay, they have become like probably a linear or a must-have features. But what it really excites is you need to really find what is that excites your customers or your users. Okay, so okay, hence that's one of the how the industry is changing either at the service level or the product level. So it matures in this particular fashion. Another example is definitely looking at a you are planning to purchase a car, then probably having basic brakes is a must-have, and stopping distance, like if it's able to stop within a 1 meter, it's the satisfaction increases instead of 3 meters, and probably an anti-locking is a delighter. Probably it was a delighter. Now I think every car is now more or less coming with anti-locking. So this is how the industry really matures. I want to give you one more example when we are talking about, for example, Exciter. You know what? More or less every we all purchase through Flipkart, or we might have purchased at least a couple of times through Flipkart. One of the key things which I've seen, which excites me about Flipkart, is you purchase something, there's a chance that you may get what you have purchased in next 24 hours. That's a delighter in a kind of Indian market where everybody is so finding it so tough to really because of inefficiency in our courier logistics and everything. Still, Flipkart is able to do that, which is within 24 hours, and that's called delighters. Those are the examples of delighters. Or you, for example, I was applying for some kind of visa for one place, and they were asking for a complete itinerary of my entire travel. Okay, so I was wondering how will I really provide all those information with exactly time or address details and everything. You know what came to my rescue was TripIt. If you guys might have used the application TripIt. I use booking.com or anywhere. I get the email and I just forward that email to the TripIt. It parses the email and gives me the entire itinerary of where I'm going in this month with all the hotel stays and all the details. Okay, that's a delighter once again. It saves a lot of time and you are providing something nobody else is doing it. Okay, so these are and probably over a period of time, this will few other people will start doing it. Then this will no more remain a delighter. So now, since we have understood, for example, the exciters, the performance linear, and the basic must-have features, now let's see how we could really get this information from our customers. Okay, what's the best way to really get these kind of information from our customers? Is by asking questions, asking right questions. Okay, talking to our customers and getting their view and asking all the questions, so that then when we compile those answers to those questions, we are able to differentiate what are these where are these three on this graph existing. So let me go over a few examples of those questions now. So we definitely, when you're building a product or anything, you definitely for a particular user set or a global audience, at least you need around 30 to 40 such users for you to use this model. And one of the functional, there are two ways of actually asking a question. What's called functional form. It means the feature is present. Okay, and dysfunctional, it means the feature is not present. Okay, so let's take an example. If phone has SMS text capability, how do you feel? Okay, the customer can rate it across whatever. I expected it to be that way. He says, okay, I expected it to be. It's supposed to be there. Okay, if the phone does not have the SMS text capability, what will happen? The customer says, you know what, I dislike it that way. If it doesn't have, I dislike that product. Okay, so this is how you actually ask questions to your customer, and you get the answers. Now, second example, if you're hotel room has free Wi-Fi, how do you feel? I like it that way. Okay, and if your hotel doesn't have a Wi-Fi, I expected it to be that way. In a sense, he expected it because Wi-Fi is still a kind of an for me, as I told you, it's an exciter, still free Wi-Fi in a hotel room. So now when you take inputs on all the questions from the different all the users that you are building the product for, then you try to map in what you then you start categorizing these answers. Okay, so if you look at the left bottom of the picture, anything for example, let's take the example of Wi-Fi here. If your hotel room has free Wi-Fi, how do you feel? I like it that way. So you see the left side, the functional question, I like it that way. Okay, and the dysfunctional question was for the same, the customer said I expected it to be that. So if you see an expect, so you're coming it as E in this particular table. So E is an exciter. It means this is an exciter for our customer or for our users to whom we are building. So this is how you categorize all your answer pairs from your talking to your users and customers. And at the bottom you see, then you try to quantify them across the feature versus the category of the answer pair results, aggregating all the results. So you see here, for example, you're building some online community feature. It's just an example. The online store is an exciter. The 21 people of the people says in a kind of online community, if you have an online store also, then it's an exciter. So it's just an example. This is how you aggregate all the results out of the from the customer's mind. And when you ask these questions, it makes him think. It makes him start thinking in this direction. And this is how you really try to understand his subconscious need. He may not have expressed all of them while writing his requirements or when he's writing his stories, but when you ask him, that's where he starts revealing what is running on his subconscious level. Okay, so so one of the key things what I see on agile teams is a team which is always ready to ask questions, get talk to the customer, ask questions, try to get what he really wants. Okay, so one of the key things, I just since we are talking about asking questions, so I just want to continue that conversation. One of the key things which I've seen which helps a lot of teams when working on particular agile teams is what I use very often when I'm doing any kind of agile scrum ceremonies, or I'm trying to analyze a situation in a complex problem solving. I use this technique. It's called root cause analysis using 5I techniques. Okay, this is a lean method wherein the idea is you identify a problem. Instead of working on the problem manifestation, okay, you really ask why multiple times to really reach to a actual root cause. Okay, so I'll take few examples now. So that's the reason it's called 5 whys. It may not be that it requires five times only why. You may find a root cause at the fourth time, or we may find a root cause at the sixth time. Okay, but you need to really identify the root cause. So coming, let's apply the thinking of questioning mode. Think the questionable thinking of 5 whys to this particular problem statement. Team failed in their sprint as they were not able to complete all the work forecasted. Okay, this is the problem statement. Let's assume the team comes together for a sprint retrospective, and they're all sitting together, and this is their problem. Okay, the team has failed in the current sprint as they were not able to complete whatever that they forecasted to be completed as part of the sprint. So let's see how team A applies the concept of 5 whys to solve this problem. Why did sprint fail? The requirements were not clear. Each team member had different views of the requirements when they got to the implementation. The team then, when they ask this question to themselves, the team member each says that okay, that everyone thought about had a different perspective of the requirement when they got to the implementation. Then the second is, why did every team member had different views about requirements? Then the team um, uh, because the team were not able to clarify the requirements with the product owner. When they had any doubts or questions, they were not able to clarify those requirements with the product owner. Why this was not possible? Because the product owner was not available. Okay, because the team asked why we were not able to clarify the requirements product owner. Then when the facilitator asked why this has happened, then they say, you know what, the product owner was not available for us. Then we ask why product owner was not accessible, because the product owner is too busy with multiple teams and other responsibilities. Hence, he's running very low on bandwidth. Okay, so now you see it. The actual problem was the team failed in their sprint, or they were not able to complete all the work forecasted. But you see the actual problem is with product owner is too busy, or he has got very low bandwidth to really work with a team, because he has been entrusted with a lot of other responsibilities. So in this case, the solution is not to really see at the team level, but actually go at the root cause, which is the availability of product owner. So solution could be here is either you go for a balancing the product on load of the product owner, or go for a, if your budget allows, go for a dedicated product owner, um, or somebody within the team can step up and take some more responsibilities to help the product owner, so that he could write the stories or write acceptance criteria, anything before, and help him in, or coaching him in that particular role. But you need to find out those solutions. But this is the way how we could really apply the technique of 5 whys. Probably the team got a kind of an fair idea in the fourth why, but I will show you an other interesting example here, how team B also face the same problem, but how did they resolve it? Okay, because every problem is unique to the team, to the project, to the organization. So let's see how the same problem, team B solved it. Okay, so let's see, why did the sprint fail? Because the team did not have enough time to test every feature developed. Okay, then why did team have less time to test? Because team delivered most of the stories in the last 2 days of the sprint. Okay, I think it is very common, which I see across multiple Scrum teams. The teams are working and they are delivering most of the stories in the last 2 days. Why but they delivered in last 2 days? Because each team member was working on a different user story. Okay, so then why each member was on a different story? Because team thought this is the best way to approach implementation to finish all of them. Then why team thought this is the best approach? Why is it like if there are 3 developers and you have got let's assume 6 stories, then you will work on 3 stories from the day of the from the start of the sprint? No, because you see it here. Why team thought this is the best approach? Because each story was big enough to keep the developer busy for complete sprint. Let's assume you have got 3 developers and you have got 3 stories. Then it doesn't mean that each of the developer will pick up one story and work all throughout the sprint. Okay, so what is the real problem here? Story being big. Okay, that's the real problem. The team failed because the team did not break the big stories to smaller ones. They could have used the right techniques to split the stories, and multiple team members could have worked on one story and finished it earlier to give it to the testing. Okay, so this is also called as limiting the work in progress. Okay, where you make sure that you don't really work on multiple stories together, like multiple developers working on. Instead of that, if possible, one or two developers working on one story and trying to finish it in much smaller time frame. And second is to break larger stories to smaller ones within a sprint. Okay, so this is how you could really identify. Excuse me, guys. I think there is somebody's cell phone is ringing. If you guys could stop it. So next, moving on to the concept of how to really apply the concept of 5 whys to do positive root cause analysis. Okay, many times we feel we are hired only to solve a problem, but it's not so. We are also here. We could use a technique of 5 whys to also identify what is really working very well for a team. Okay, so if we apply the same turnaround example, if a team in a sprint retrospective looks at a problem, thing sits together and they see why our last few sprints have gone so well, why we are successful, because we are able to deliver everything tested with high quality within our 2 week sprints. Okay, so then why we were able to test everything within a sprint? Because we invested in test automation from the start of the project and is paying off. Also, our testing team started testing quite early. In a sense, the team really spent. The team members are saying that we invested in automation, because of which we are able to test the things faster and quite early in the sprint. So then the team asked why this was possible, because our developers were able to finish the stories in frequent intervals for multiple reasons. One is multiple people were working on a one story because they had multiple tasks, and second, it was small enough so that we were able to complete each story in 1 or 2 days. Okay, so now you see here, you can even apply the thinking of 5 whys to get an understanding, or what I call as good practices that are happening within a team. For example, if you see in this example, test automation, or limiting the work in progress, or splitting the story small enough, are different practices that are emerging out of this story. And this is one of the key things an agile coach or within an organization, when you assess a team, then you see there are some good practices that are happening. Apply 5 why technique to identify what are those practices, what are those good, and then definitely you could spread those word across multiple teams within the organization. This is how you could really make the agile transformation across the organization faster and much easier. You definitely, people would love to hear good things that are happening, right? And it always goes viral, anything that sounds good or which is actually happening very well on the team. So my point is asking questions either to your customers to get the right set of requirements, or assessing a situation in on your projects, either at the sprint retrospective, or in on daily stand up, or during day to day when you're working on a project. Asking questions to go to the root cause is these are few examples. I have also blogged about all these things on my blog also, that you could also read about all of these things on my blog. So you will find different articles written on this topic. So the overall, so this is the main the concept of 5 why you could across to find not only the best practices or identify the root causes for all the problems. And definitely we I think as a industry, we definitely want people who are curious, not only smart, but who are curious to really ask questions to get to the root cause. So let me see. Yeah, we are around 50 minutes into the. I think I can. That's what I wanted to talk to you guys today on these two topics. I hope this was good, and I'm ready good to take few questions from each one of you. You could unmute and ask me any specific questions you have. Um, uh, anything that you have.
So guys, thanks Avinash for a wonderful webinar, wonderful presentation. Guys, anyone you can ask questions by unmuting or yourself, or putting up a question directly, or you can just go ahead and put that in the chat window, and I will be then facilitating it forward. do you have a question?
Yeah, hi.
Hi. So can you just go ahead and ask it, Vikram, please?
Yes, please. This is regarding to the story points related. Once we estimate the story points in the product backlog and move it into the sprint backlog item, if the team identifies there should be some particular changes into the estimation kind of thing, or break up the task into few more uh, levels into the to make it as a smaller, like Avinash said it. So is that the right way to split it over there and rechange the number of working hours or time remaining hours to be completed kind of thing? Can we do that? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let me, in a sense, let me see if I got your question very well. One of the key things about when we are talking about story points, right? Points-based estimation. I'm assuming that you are Vikram. You are doing this points-based estimate at the product backlog in a backlog grooming kind of a session, right?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
The product
And
backlog, sorry to interrupt you. The product backlog will be one particular item, I mean the story point. We have evaluated it and kept it certain point numbers. After that, we
okay.
moved that points to the sprint backlog item. Then
Yeah.
we
Perfect.
identified that there would be some particular changes. So that we got it stuck up at that point, whether we are doing the right agile kind of thing.
Yeah. You know what? The idea is you need to keep in mind there are two ways of estimating the things. Okay, the points-based estimation is what I call as course-based. In the sense, it's a rough estimation technique. Okay, the idea is you will use story points estimation at a release level. Okay, when you're doing a release planning, because from story points you get velocity, and then you could extrapolate velocity to identify how much of things that you could do in the upcoming release. Okay, and each release can have multiple sprints. Now when you enter into a sprint, because if you apply the thinking of last responsible moment, right, you defer in agile. What you do is you defer the decision making to the last responsible moment. In a sense, when you enter into the sprint, you at that time you have all the information you could have ever had for the implementation, because this is the maximum you could have waited. You know what I'm saying? So now you should start using time-based estimation techniques. Okay, which is you break the user stories into a smaller task, assuming that your user story is already like a smaller one, and then you break it that user story into tasks, and you start applying at the task level the time-based estimation like hours for each task, because then end up you will get an hour burndown chart, right? And that's the best way that you could self-organize. So there will never be the case that where you could actually predict everything upfront when you're at the product backlog level. Even when you're hitting the sprint, there would be some surprises. So you create the task dynamically, or and add whatever the time estimation at the sprint level, and uh, put it on the board, or have it on your whatever tool that you're using, or communicate to the product owner, make it transparent that yes, this is what we have identified. But then gradually, if it's becoming a trend that you see, you know what, we most of the time we are unable to identify anything in the product backlog, and our sprint planning is taking very long time because we are doing too much analysis. Then it's a time for you to rethink, are we doing a very good job in the backlog grooming session? Okay, backlog grooming is a session wherein you do it at least once or twice a week for an hour at least, wherein you actually look at the product backlog and review the stories, and any new stories which are added by product owner is immediately estimated using story points, so that he has got sufficient time to flush out more details before the actual sprint planning starts. So this is how that you could address. Does this address your question, Vikram?
Yes, absolutely. But the thing is, we have the product backlog for that particular sprint locked up. So
Uh-huh.
I mean, if there is a story point in this case, 10 points. We have
Mhm.
we are using a tool hands off. and for each story point we are adding a 1 point is equal to 1 hour. So we move that same for 10 points or whatever for that story into the sprint backlog item, considering as remaining work hours initially. So when after, yeah,
So are you saying 1 point is equal to 1 hour? You are taking into consideration? Are you saying that, Vikram?
yes, 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 yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think like I would suggest not to really correlate points versus hours. Okay. And this is once again when you are starting on an agile project, or you are doing it at the initial phases. I would not suggest that you should go for a point versus days correlation. Okay, points is meant for release planning. It is used as a input by the product owner, because from the points you get velocity, and you use velocity only for release planning. Don't use velocity for sprint planning. Sprint planning, go for what I call as commitment driven planning. Okay. So I don't know if it's going to be very tough for me to really go through everything, but definitely here. But what you should do on a high level, I could say, is try to limit the point system only at the release level or at the product backlog level. At the sprint backlog level, you are talking about stories divided into tasks, and tasks are estimated in hours. Because if not, you will not get our burn down chart. And our burn down chart is a must for you to self organize, because you do lot of decision making out of the burn down charts, the different kind of charts that you could get. Okay, so this is something, if you want, we could also talk offline. You could drop me, we could discuss a little bit more. Does this answer you at to some extent, Vikram?
Yes, yes, sir. Thanks a lot, Avinash. I mean, it was really wonderful suggestion, and make sure that it will more point discussion offline. Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Vikram.
Hello, can I come in? My name is Ashish Sharma.
Yeah, Ashish, tell me.
Hi, Avinash. I'm attending this kind of webinar for the first time, but I'm kind of regular on your blog. I'm really liking that.
Okay,
I have
thank
a question related to what we have discussed in this webinar. It's related to unlocking the customer code. I think you have suggested a few ways where we pose certain queries or certain functional or non-functional questions to multiple set of customers, and then derive a metric, and then see what is what value most.
Yeah.
My question is that if I have just one customer, if I am talking to just one person who is giving me the requirement, how can I use this kind of metrics with that one person?
Yeah. So Ashish, see, you might be building a product to your customer, right? That one customer you are talking to, right? And that customer is now building a product. You are just implementing the product, or building and implementing the product, but he's building it for a set of users in the market, right? Ashish? See, he's building for a set of people. He in the market. Let's assume it's an US geography. He's building for the people who are in there. Now, what you could do is you really the customer should actually can use this kind of a Canon model to actually talk to the users and ask, what do you really want as part of this product? Okay, because this has a lot to do with the definitely product owner. But why I am saying this is, it's also owners of end of the day, we are all consultants. We are not saying that this is a customer problem, this is not my problem. Okay, you could definitely, in your case, you could suggest to the customer that why can't we do a kind of a user survey, okay, where you could really talk to your users, ask these kind of functional and dysfunctional questions, and try to understand what excites them, what are linear features to them, and what do they think is a must-have for them. Okay, so in your case, even you could talk to your customer to really run this kind of a survey. Okay. Does that answers Ashish?
Yes, very well. Just a related one that there must be some sort of trigger for me to think that way. If customer is giving me some requirement, and if I'm in complete understanding, I might be just thinking that this is the complete list. What are those triggers which might trigger me to think that I should suggest my customer to go extend his these kind of queries to the people,
Yeah.
the actual users. So when do I feel by listening to him that no, there is something else?
Yeah, right. Very valid. Probably I will have one or two questions to you then now. So in your case, is your product already live? The customer, or you are building for the first time, or it's been already used by your users?
Yeah, it's an internal thing. It's an internal software which is used for the process automation.
Okay, but whatever, it may be internal users or external users, but at least it's been used currently, right, Ashish?
Yes.
Yeah. So so in a sense, there are some users who are already using the system. So after that, are you seeing too many kind of what you call as a change in his decision making? You know what? No. He goes with the kind of a set of features, but no user is actually using these features. Like for example, what I did in a few cases was to add some kind of analytics, like what kind of features are really being used, and I see there are around 80% of the features which we have built is never used.
Yeah.
Okay, so it means that he has not done the level of user survey. It means that we are bundling our product with too many features, but the users are not actually using it. So you need to really, one way is if he is flipping his decision making quite often, because might be he wrote a requirement in for upcoming 2 sprints, and after 2 sprints he comes back and say, you know what, no, I talked to few of my users and they don't like this one, they want something else. Okay, so as I can understand, only I could suggest a very perfect solution if I understand from lot from a business domain problem and context. But I could easily suggest is when you reach to a level of comfort with your customer from a business standpoint. Okay, where he doesn't treat you, you are just like an implementation partner, but you are a kind of an person who can actually talk to him at the business level and try to ask questions. For example, in your case, if customer is asking something, you might be asking some business questions, right? Why do you really want this?
Yeah.
Why do you want this one and why do you don't want that feature? Okay, why you have prioritized feature number 3 or feature number 7? Okay, then he will reveal these answers. You know what, Ashish? He may say, I talked to my users recently, and they said that they want to hear, they like these kind of features more. So I want to prioritize these features at the top. So these kind of questions when you ask, that's where he starts revealing the business side of the things. Okay, and when he starts revealing the business side of the things, that's where you actually start connecting him at the business level rather than at the implementation level.
Yeah. Absolutely, and this is definitely coming from a personal experience. When we deliver something, the kind of response, and this has happened some of the times, not all the times, that somebody, the actual user says, yeah, this is fine, but can you actually do it this way? I mean, this is not. They never say that I don't require this, but they kind of flip it like it could be better if it was done this way, and then that results in a kind of new requirement. But
Yeah.
right, but I understand that. Thanks for the answer.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Ashish. Anybody else have got any question?
So anyone can put down any question if they require, if they want. I think we still have like many people. Anyone want to go with the question?
Okay, so if you're none of them have any question, you could always drop me an email or connect with me on my groups, and you could ask question. I even on my Facebook Agile Buddha page also you could ask question. I can respond back. So you're welcome to ask questions anytime, even later. And you would find me going forward quite frequently on webinars. I'm because in coming up, I think probably in a few days. Down the line, we'll be presenting on agile testing. And after that, I'll also be presenting I and my colleague, one of my colleagues will also be presenting on acceptance test driven development. So we are going to talk on different varied topics under the umbrella of Agile, Scrum, and Extreme Programming, Agile testing. Now, so let me know if you guys are interested in any specific topics also. With my if possible, I can address in the upcoming some of the webinars sometime. So try to hook in, and I'm really grateful for every one of you for joining us, and thanks for your time too, and please be connected. And just for your information sake, I'm conducting few Agile coaching workshops in Delhi and Hyderabad in this month. So if any of you are interested, then you could write me back, and you could take part in these coaching workshops.